Hello, YouTube. It's been a while, huh? If you're watching this, I don't know, in the next couple of days, you'll definitely see. I think my YouTube channel has been like 5 or 6 months since I made the last video. But yeah, my birthday was last week, and I turned 34. And I'm making this video because, I've been thinking about a lot of stuff lately. Since I've been living since I was 34 years old. And I was thinking, like, what would I tell my younger self? Or what would I tell, like, the Gen Z kids, I think as they call them nowadays, as if I were to give some advice. And I know a lot of, like, YouTubers, especially the millionaire YouTubers, are like, if you're 30 years old, or the time you're this 25 years old, you should be having this money, and you should be having this, and you should be doing this and doing that. And I'm just like, yeah, this ain't that type of video. I'm gonna be real, Joe. 34. I don't have my life all together. I'm still figuring out a lot of stuff what I should be doing. But I can tell you some things about, like, maybe what you shouldn't do. Or I would say more things are like the last couple of things that I guess kind of regret either doing or not doing when I was younger. So if I were to tell, like, my younger self, or tell, some kids that are younger, be like, hey, this is what I would do differently, or this is, maybe don't do this, And the first thing I would tell them is, like, one, follow your dreams. That's like the first major important thing I would tell. If I could tell somebody that's younger than me, 20, in their 20s, 25, what do what should I do? I don't know. Follow your dreams. Or if I could tell my younger self, follow your dreams. Especially if I could tell my younger self, I'd be like, follow your dreams, bruh. Don't listen to the people around you saying you can't do your dreams, because that was me. Growing up, my dreams originally was I wanted to draw comics, and do like animation, and then I also wanted to play video games. Those were like my two things I wanted to do growing up. And I remember when my dad asked me, like, when I was like 15, 16, he's like, what do you want to do when you grow up? I was like, I want to play video games. I remember I was like, that's what I do. I said, I also want to draw. I like drawing. But he was like, ain't no money in that. I remember telling him, he's like, what do you want to do? I want to draw. Ain't no money in that. I want to play video games. Ain't no money in that. I was like, well, I'll be a video game tester, because, there was no such thing as a video game player back in the day. He's like, there ain't no money in that. I was like, I'll be a video game creator. Ain't no money in that. And so I gave up on my dreams, because they were like, you need to pick something that's realistic, have money, and computer science is something, because that's what he did. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just do that. Right. And I gave up on my dreams. And I tried to do computer science. I went to college trying to do computer science, and I hated computer science. I didn't last more than 3 months before I changed my major. Fast forward now to 2024. Everybody and their grandma plays video games. Everybody and their grandma, like, there's so many animation channels, people that animate, people that draw comics and they make it for a living. So many people that do YouTube and they do Let's Plays. There's streamers, people that literally just turn on a camera, stream, and play video games. I was just like, bruh, if only I had kept doing that, instead of letting somebody, like, convince me that's not a real thing, when literally now in 2024, that's what people do. They literally, like, and everybody wants to be a streamer. Everybody wants to be a content creator. The Gen Z people, they want to be streamers, content creator. And I'm not mad about that, because I understand, hey, but it's just crazy how literally what I wanted to do back in, like, the early 2000s, like 2003, 2004, 2005, and how I said I wanted to do that. Now it's an actual job you can do. You can literally record yourself playing video games. You can literally record yourself, stream yourself playing video games. You can literally do digital art and make comics and stuff. Because, back in my growing up, digital art, like, Adobe wasn't like the powerhouse as it was. It was still there, but I still think you had to pay for it and stuff. But I remember I used to go on Newgrounds, watch all the animations on Newgrounds. Used to go on Stick Page, Fluid Admins, Albino Black Sheep. I was like, man, I remember I drew all the way till middle school, 8th grade, because I think I was 14. I drew all the way till 8th grade, and then after that, I stopped drawing, because, like I said, my dad was like, ain't no money in that. So I was like, dang, I gave up on my dreams. And I literally just gave up. And so if I could tell my younger self, hey, man, don't give up. Don't give up. Keep doing that. Keep drawing. Keep wanting to play video games. Get into video games more. Learn more about drawing. Draw even more. Do techniques. Learn about it if you can. Because in the future, that's going to be like a major thing. The fact that comic books are mainstream. Marvel and DC are even more mainstream. The fact that YouTube has its own animation channels that they animate. The fact that video games are super mainstream. Like I said, everybody is a streamer or wants to be a streamer or wants to be a YouTuber, and it's just like, dang. I wish I like never gave up on that, and I wish I like, did it. And I would say another thing I would tell like my younger self is, maybe not child self, but like younger self, is it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your mind. If you want to do something and then you try and you don't want to do it, it's okay to change your mind. Because when I was like real young, like 4 or 5, I remember I was like, I want to do dinosaurs because I really like dinosaurs. And I wanted to be an archaeologist. Then I found out like you had to do really good at math. And I struggled with math when I was a kid. I still struggle with math as I'm a 34-year-old adult. If it's not anything that's money math, don't ask me. Don't ask me how to do long division. No thanks. But I was just like, oh. And I remember as a kid, once I found out you had to do math, I was like, nah, I don't want to do dinosaurs anymore. I was like, I'm cool. Like, I like them, but I'm not about to try to discover them and do all that because I'm not dealing good with math. So my thing is, don't be afraid to change your mind, especially if you're young. I can see if you're older, you're adult, you got responsibilities, but especially if you're a teenager and you're young 20s, mid 20s, and you don't got a lot of, stuff going on, like you don't have a lot of responsibilities. And let's say you want to be like, say you try to do computer science. So you go to college for it, then you find out you don't like it. And you want to switch your major, you want to do fashion, do that. Or you switch your major, you want to do music, do it. Like I said, don't be afraid to change your mind. You're not locked into one thing. It's a lot harder to change your mind when you have a family and bills and responsibility. But if you don't have all that, especially when you're a teenager, it's way easier. My thing is, go for what you want to go for. If you think you want to do, something in video games, try them. And then you're like, I don't really want to do that. I want to make clay pots. Then do that. Like I said, my thing is follow your dreams and don't be afraid to change your mind. Don't let anybody try to tell you can't do it because, oh, this is not a real job or whatever. Like I said, it could always be a real job. So I would say, like, I personally have a lot of respect for anybody that follow their dreams, no matter what the world or anybody tell them, whether they're parents or people or peers. I personally have a lot of respect to anybody that like follow their dreams and continue to do their dreams, because that ain't easy. And like I said, I've tried it and I'm just now starting to like try to do that. So I would say the second thing I would tell, like, especially like young boys, even young girls, but especially my young self is, bro, if you like somebody, just ask that person out. Like, you don't want to live with the regret of like what could have been, what should have been. Because especially I remember me in high school, there was a couple of times, like I said, there was a couple of girls like I had crushes on or I liked, and I never asked them out. And then now you sit and think, oh, you wonder, I wonder what could have been, what should have been, or whatever. Like, you never know. And a lot of times, especially if you don't have self-confidence, because I didn't have self-confidence at the time, you're scared. You're like, oh, I'm going to reject it. Especially if you've been rejected a bunch of times. People made fun of you. You think you're going to be rejected or whatever. Just go ahead and ask them out, because you never know. It could lead, you could get rejected, which is fine. And it hurts in the moment. But later down the line, you're like, hey, at least I did everything I could. But it also could lead to you being in a relationship. You never know. I would say there's at least like 2 girls in high school that I'm just like, man, I wonder what happened if I asked her out. And there's one girl in college specifically that I didn't ask out, that I sometimes think, I'm like, man, I wonder if I would have asked her out, like how that would have went, And so I would say, you don't really want to live with what shoulda, coulda. Like I said, you might as well just go ahead and ask them. And if you get rejected, you get rejected. It is what it is, bro. Especially if you're a man. Like, most men be getting rejected anyway. Like, you get used to it. It builds character. So I would say, like I said, really to anybody, like, ask the person out. You got a crush on them, ask them out. Though, like I said, most of the time the worst thing to say is no. They could also laugh at you and tell other people, unfortunately, because we live in social media today, and like, women be putting men on blast just for asking them out. So that's the only other thing that kind of sucks about that. But especially like in the real world, in real life, like the most they can say is no, and be like, nah, I'm not interested, no thanks, nah, or ill, you're gross, or whatever, which, it's gonna hurt. But hey, they did you a favor, so that's how I would say is my second thing I would tell like my younger self or younger me. And then I would say the third thing I would tell myself, especially when it comes to college, is like, don't skip so many daggone classes especially like my freshman and sophomore year, like I skipped, there's a lot of classes I skipped, specifically classes that take your attendance, the ones that's like, oh, your attendance is 25% of your grades. Those are the classes you don't skip. Those are the ones you make sure you go to, because it's literally just a free 25% of your grade just for showing up. But because I was a dumb young freshman, you know, when you leave home, you're like, ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. And then I was dealing with a lot of like trying to figure out what I wanted to do as a freshman, because like I said, I thought I wanted to do computer science and I failed at that horribly. So I had to switch my major like halfway through the second half of the semester, or the first year. I forgot how college goes. It's been a decade since I've been to college, but literally it's like, you know, you do the first half of semester, then you have a break, and then you come in the second half of semester, and I had to switch my major. So like I remember there's a couple classes that I skipped that were part of my grade that I really, because I graduated college with a 2.95. And I think about that, like, had I just not skipped the classes that freshman and sophomore year, had I not done a lot of the skipping the classes with those particular classes, I probably would have graduated at least a 3 point something, 3.0 at minimum. Because the thing is, I wasn't skipping a lot of classes all the time, but I specifically remember like freshman year and a little bit in the beginning of the sophomore semester, there were like a couple classes where they were like, oh, you should come to class. And I didn't come to class all the time every day, because there was like an easy class. There was a sociology class I remember specifically that was an easy class, and I ended up getting like, I think I ended up getting like a C plus in that class. And I definitely could have got like an A in that class had I just showed up more, because the class was easy and I did the work. But because I didn't show up a lot of the time for that class, like I was probably skipping class probably like once every other week. And like I said, I ended up getting a C plus in the sociology class, which ended up being my major. And I was like, bro, I definitely could have got like a B plus A in that class. The class was easy, but I just didn't show up. And then, like I said, there was another class that was like I don't know if it was a science class, but it's usually the smaller classes where I didn't show up in the class all the time. And so what I ended up doing in college is like, especially later on in the semesters, I didn't skip any class that was mandatory attendance. I didn't skip, and even the classes that, you know, I only ended up skipping classes that like were the ones that had like 200 plus people or over like 100 something people, because the professors they're not going to take attendance, they're not going to know. But I only did those classes if one, the class was like super easy, like I mean like really easy, like any hard class I'm not skipping, or like I knew somebody in the class that I could get notes from, because there was this other class I would skip that was, I think it was like a history class, and I remember I ended up getting an A in that class. But I would skip that class sometimes because one, the class was super easy. Like she would just post the lessons on she was an older teacher, she would post the lessons on Blackboard, and I would go there and you could look at it. And plus, like the people, I was cool with the people in that class, and she didn't take like attendance essentially. So I was just like, yeah, I'd skip that class sometimes. But like I remember, I know I had a Japanese history class that I didn't skip, because like I wasn't skipping no days in them classes, because, or it wasn't Japanese history, it was Asian history. But I remember like I ended up getting a B in that class because one of my papers I turned in late, but because I would show up in class every day and sit in the front and ask questions, like she ended up extending it. I ended up getting a B in that class, which I didn't even think I was going to get, because I was like, bruh, because I would struggle in that class. But yeah, like I definitely tell my younger self when it comes to college, like, don't skip the classes that require attendance, because it literally is just free percentage to your grade. There's no downside to it. Like, yeah, you can't do whatever, hang out with your friends or watch TV or play video games or do whatever you do in college, but like literally you're supposed to be going to college to learn anyway. And I can talk about college and whether it's even worth it in a whole nother video, but yeah, I would definitely tell my younger self, like, don't skip classes that require attendance. So that's really about it when it comes to like, I can think of like my regrets. I can think of everything else. Like I don't really say I can't regret anything. I've tried, said my best doing everything I can. I've definitely tried things and failed. Like I said, if I had not skipped classes, I probably would have went to grad school a lot earlier, because when I ended up graduating, I applied for grad school in a college that was more local, close to me, and I ended up getting rejected. I didn't go to grad school till like, I think 3-4 years later, and then I ended up flunking out of that. But I have no regrets for that, because I tried my best in that grad school. I ended up going to Ohio, living there, trying to go to grad school. But yeah, that's what I would say. As a 34-year-old adult and you know, doing the grind. I would say, yeah, those are the things I would tell somebody that's younger than me, or tell my younger self as far as advice. That's about it. If you enjoyed the video, or you know, found something that was good and had some advice that's helpful, leave a like or a comment. All right. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace out.